we're holding over here. We're holding over here. Yeah, he brings a hechrich. Till now in the Maimer we're speaking about the Indian air. That Atzilus Adam al Elin Yesh Ma'ayim, but when Chaz Geret Legabi Air, that Zgalus, there's the Zgalus Elikus, the Indian Agili, which is not Atzilus. Atzilus is Eres and Mislapshin Bekalim, or that there's Tzirus in the air itself, but air is the Indian of Gili Hamor, Gili Hamakir, that the Makir is made in Mispashit. So the Makir is made in Mispashit also in the Tzir of Gvul, but it's in of Gili V'Ispashit Hamakir. The Gili Hamakir. So the Gili Hamakir, so that you're saying till now, even though this Azevot and Gezak, this Gal Svatzilis is the way the Makir is Gal in Tzir. So it's a new Indian, the Gabi this Gal Hamakir, the Gabi the way it is, and the Pshitas Hamakir, the Eitzaf of the Makir. Them sagt das nicht das. That the Atzilus is Gili Helen, that in the course the way since Gal in Atzilus is Adam al Elin, it's Megala the Einsaf the way it is higher than Atzilus. That is Mazur Baruchis, that the Indian of the Eres and Tziyar, and the fact that you have Tzir in the air, the Elam Isla and the air which is Eir HaChacham Eir HaChesed, is Mushish and Lifnat Tzimtzum. It's the Eir Lifnat Tzimtzum, it's the Keichei Bigvul. That's one beer. Another beer is that this, according to the second shitta, that the air is nimshach from the air akav, the air which is mitztayer in the tzir of Ezra Sphiris doesn't have a separate sheirish lifnei tzimtzum. So it's the chitzenis of the air abligvul. Even according to that beer, he explains so that does especially in parsha that in Yaniv the air is the air is pshitis. It's the gilei makar, the same way the makar is bligvul. The air is Indian nisim megala the bligvul of the makar. We spoke about this last time. But Avad became there's a shma'ina that's the mazir b'm free. Kalim is a different Indian. Kalim is the Indian of Tzir and Gvul itself, not that in Saf is mispashit in Tzir, not the spashtus hamakar in Tzir. It's a different Indian. It is the etzim Indian of Tzir, the etzim Indian of Chachma v'Chesed. Of course, the Chachma v'Chesed it's not the b'chin of Yesh. It's not a mitzias which is Chachma v'Chesed the way it is in Evrayim b'chmalach michol. It's a mitzias of Chesed, of midas Chesed, the Indian of Chesed. Mash'egin Chesed, the way it is in Atzilus, Kol Inyani is that the Lekus has within itself Indian Chesed. That the Eibush includes within itself the Keich HaChesed. But it's the Keich HaChesed, it's the Eibush's Keich HaChesed. But Inyani is not his Galus Ein Sof in a Tzir of Chesed. But Inyani is that Chesed is also Lekus. That's a different Indian. Indian of Kalim is not, Kalim is different, it's Keich HaBigvul. Keich HaGvul is that Mitzias, Chacham Chesed is also Lekus. Yeah, we spoke about this, yeah, we don't have to... The Avdurag in the Minyan. We went through this a little bit. Oh. So then factor, so first he brings a hechrich. We have to say that even Kalim Datzilis are Adam al-Elyon. Why? Because the whole hechrich, that were the whole discussion that it says Adam al-Elyon, and Vanat has to angeben because of the Shalah. The Shalah says Adam as a Melashon Adam al-Elyon. Since Atzilis is P'chnas Adam, and Adam is Adam al-Elyon, so Atzilis is Megale, the Pshitas of Elikus. It's Adam al-Elyon. It's not only of us in Izgal and Atzilis. Is the air the way the air the Sheikh is the Tzir to Gvul through Atzilis also in Izgal the Pnimius the Ein Sof of Elikus. But the Iker Indian of Adam is in Kalim, not on air. Because the Tzir Mamish, Adam is the Indian of the Tzir and Nischalkus and Shlesh Kavim, Yemin, Smil, V'emtza. The Indian of Tzir and Geder is Shaykh Dafkin Tzedek Kalim. Because you said before, air is not Tzir. Air is the Izgalus Ha'etzim in Tzir. It's not Tzir. Like saying Tmidah Shemag Sateva. It's not Gidra Teva. It's Ein Sof in Gidra Teva. It's a different Indian. So the Indian of Adam, which in Inyani is Tzir, the Tzir Adam, Indian of Chacham v'Chesed, that's Kalim. And the of them Zakman Adam al-Elyon. That means that also Atzilis, also the Kalim Atzilis are Adam al-Elyon. That's That's what you're saying at the end. You can't in Tzir Adam B'chinas HaKalim. Can't Tzarech Lemer Nash Adam al-Elyon Ugam B'chinas HaKalim. L'chor Eichin Adam, V'la Kalim B'chinas B'riya Sheba'Atzilis Chuluk Yodua. What's the B'chinas B'riya Sheba'Atzilis? Means there's Kama Inyanim in this, but the point is, Adam means that the Keli, that the Indian is similar to earlier, the simple Lashon of Adam. It's the same Indian as before. It's not a new Indian. So you say, what's Adam al? The Eibush is Pashut, B'tachas Pshitas. And Atzila, Azay, we say Yeshma'ayin, the Havana Pshuta was that Atzila is Gvul. It's Eiris and Tziyarim. So the Tzir is Be'en, Gvul is Be'en Arech to Bligvul. It's not only Be'en Arech. So in the Eiris, the way they are Mitztayr and Chacham v'Chesed, doesn't express, they're not similar. They don't express, they have no relation to the Pshitas of Elikus, to the Ein Sof of Elikus. Adam Zakter, no. The air is Ein Sof. The air is Adam Elyon. That means that the air is not. It's not. Air Chachma is Ein Sof in Chachma. It's not Chachma. It's the expression of Ein Sof in the Tzir of Chachma. The same way we say when you get the Shtalshus Vesens Batan and the Devraim. There's the element of Blig Vol in Teva. The Chukei Teva are Nitzchim. So what are we saying here? That you could trace back the Ein Sof in the Gvul. It's not just a regular Gvul. There's Nitzchi, there's Inyan of Ein Sof in this Gvul. That's a different Inyan. That you could say when you get to Eir Inyani is not Tzir. Eir Inyani is this Galus Hamakar that the Eibush has Mispashet also in Tzir. That the Lekus is Gala also in Eifin of Tzir. Mashikin Chacham V'Chesed. Inyanim is the Mitzir of Chacham V'Chesed. It's a Geder of Chacham V'Chesed. That's Inyanim. Of course, it's not a Geder of, it's not a Yesh. It's not a Mitzir outside of a Lekus. But it's Chacham V'Chesed. So it's B'chinas Bria Shabbat Tzilus. Inyani is not this Galus Hamakar in a form of Chacham V'Chesed. Inyani is that there's an Inyan of Chacham V'Chesed, and that Mitzir is also a Lekus. That's I'm understanding, but it's a different. When we're saying that Kalim is a Lekus, is not in the same Eifin that we're saying that Eir is a Lekus. Kalim is a Lekus is that what's the Inyan of Chacham V'Chesed to bring out that even Chacham is a Lekus. Not why is Chacham a Lekus? Not because the Eibush has mispashet also in Chacham, because Chacham, the Inyan of Chacham Guf is to show on the Eibush. Not as a result of the fact that the Ein Sof is Meir B'chol Makim, that the Eibush has mispashet everywhere, but because even Mitzias, even the Geder of Chachma is mitzad its point of view is a Keli Telukus. But it's a Geder of Chachma. So that is l'chore not, Inyani is not the expression of something higher. Such a thing, something higher is a Makar, and the Tachton's Inyan is this Galus and the expression of the Makar. Chachma Inyani is not this Pashtus Vigidei Makar. It's that even a Metzias which is l'chore not him, also that Metzias is a Keli Tem. The Eibusher contains that Inyan also. So l'chore, how could he say Yeshma? How could he say Adam Le'el? Inyani is Tzir, not in Sof in Tzir. Inyani is Tzir. And he said before that the Tzir is in Sof, and it's a different thing. That what he says that the Kelim are also in Sof. The Keich HaMagbul, that's a different Inyan. But that's we're not saying Chachma that it's the function is not the expression of Ein Sof. That's not the expression of the Makar of the Eibush Nechach. You see in the Mashal of the Nefesh, it's a whole different Inyan. You see in the Mashal of the Nefesh, there's Chachma or Seichel as a tool for the person to express himself, or as a way of how to relate to the person. So how do you relate to him? Because he's a nice person. You're not speaking. It's not the Inyan of Chachma itself or the Inyan of Chesed itself. It's the relating to the person through Chachma v'Chesed. That's how it was used. That would be the mashal for the Eira Chachma v'Eira Chesed. It's not about Chachma v'Chesed. It's about the Galus Hamakar through Chachma v'Chesed. Kelim, you say the etzem Inyan of Chachma. The nefesh contains within itself the ability to understand. Not the fact that he could express himself through Chachma. The ability to understand. That itself is a nafshes Inyan. Which Inyan is it? Not the Gili HaNefesh. Not the Spashus HaEtzem. Different Inyan. So that's not Adam Elyon. That you're saying already that it's be'etzem something else which is being expressed through this. Nish das a keli. Keli is b'chinas bria Shabbat Tzilus. Saying but bria, when you say bria in Elam bria b'pashtus means that it's Inyani is not that the Eibishter contains it in himself. The Inyan Chacham v'Chesed. It's that there's Chacham v'Chesed. The Eibishter created a Metzias of Chachma. Which, what's the definition of Chachma? Seichel. The Klei Chachma that's it's not Seichel. It's that the Eibishter in a Lukus you also have the Inyan of Chachma. It's Chachma. We'll see later. Maybe more pratim in this. That's different. We'll see. When he goes back to explaining the Dam Elyon, we'll go back to clarify this prat. We're going to say, what do we mean b'chinas bria Shabbat Tzilus? Ach Inyan hu dafidu b'chinas hakedem dat Tzilus kivan shehein elukus mamish hein Adam Elyon legabi b'chinas hak. Since they're elukus, it's not Inyan of bria. It's not a creation outside of the Eibishter. It's a keich eliki. It's Chachma elikis, divine Chachma v'milam acheres. So b'meile they're Adam Elyon legabi b'chinas hak. Not Adam Elyon legabi the Ersha Lifnei, since Adam Elyon legabi b'chinas hak. Shnimshchu misham derech hatzilus mehelam legilit. Lei derech b'rei yishmayim. Why? What says that the Eifin Amshach is an Eifin of Atzilus? Lies Kipchinas Kalim, that Atzilus, for Klulim, when it's Hava B'chinas Ag. It's Shavash Lam, but Atzilus B'chinas B'shacham Elam Agil Levad. So this already, we're not going to say, Legabi, we're saying that it's Adam Oli Elam Legabi the Eir Shalif Netzimtzum. Mashikin Kalim, we don't say that it's Adam Oli Legabi the Eir Shalif Netzimtzum. Because what is Kalim? Kalim is that there's a reality, there's the maybe the way the Rebbe explains it in the Sikha comes out more, that's already the Havana Shebazeh, but it brings out more sharper the Inyan. The Rebbe is Mavar in the Sikha of Shmeis and Chelik Vav. The Rebbe, I mentioned this last time, that there is the two biyurim, what's the Maila of Gilei L'kus Lamata? You have the Inyan of Nesavik Baruch Hu said that the Rebbe Tachtainu, that's already different Inyan, but I'm saying the Pi Mitzad Mailis and certain, there's certain Shleimusin that are expressed, certain iluyim which Gdulas Hashem, which is expressed dafka by Elokus being nimshach lamata. Mashikin Elokus, the way it is Lamaila doesn't bring out, doesn't express these malas. So one of the malas are that it brings out that the Eibush is big full, that there's no limit where Elokus is mispashat. So you have Hergish Elokus only in Atzilis, it doesn't express how that Elokus is big full. Ain't soft this pashtuse. Ein Savdas Pashtus is expressed with them that there's no tchum which the Eibush is not mispashet, which Leisa Sarpanamine. So that he's everywhere. That's in Eir. The Rebbe calls that's in Eir. The Ein Savdas Pashtus. Then there's a different Indian. Ein Savdas Pashtus means that with what is the Nivra connected to the Eibush there? Because the Eibush is also there. So you have a Talmud with how does the Talmud understand how did the Arvim over there know about Gedulas Hashem? Because Avraham Avinu explained it to them. So, but the Metzias Arvim itself are not Kelim Telikus. And from their point of view, Gufa, they're Mishtachim Lavik Shabaragleim. The Vibal Ein Sof, the Eibush Ein Sof Lispashtuse. So even though the Tachten is not a Keli for him, but because Ein Sof Lispashtuse, so he's Meir and Mispashat everywhere. That's the Spashtus here. Then you have a different Inyan. There is an Inyan that there speaks two Prat in it, but just speak about the second Prat. There's an Inyan where there's rayas from the Chukes Abriya. There's different rayas from Gidra Abriya that are mechiach that there's neighbors there, that there's a Beir Elam. So that doesn't stem from you say there's Klal Yaseichel, let's say. Metzias Avelt. It's an Indover Eser Satzme. There's a Klal Sichle Indover Eser Satzme, let's say. So the rules Chuke Habriya prove that there must be a Beira and a Manik which is Mashgiach HaKolena. Let's say since everything's Murkav and all they say this, so the klal is that there can't be a Murkav if there wasn't a market. There's different, I'm not going into the rice, but the point is, so so how do we know that it's neighbor? From Vanent stammt, the truth of this neighborhood, where does that come from? Where is this presence coming from the Tachten? The Tachten Guf is Mechayiv that. The Metzias Ha'elam Gufa proves that there must be a Beira. So the fact that you say the reason the Arvim are going to know about the Eibush, not because the Eibush is mispashet everywhere, because the gather of the Arvi Guf is Mechayiv that there's an Eibush there. There's a Metzias Abriya, and the nature of the Tchunis, the traits of the world itself prove that there's a Beira. So that's not the fact that the Eibush is that in Yonam of Holocaust are Nirgash and are Meir in Welt or are known in Welt. It's not because the Eibush there is Meir here, because his Espashtus is everywhere. It's because the Metzias of Welt is a Keli for him. The Metzias of Welt, it stems from their point of view. The Metzias of Welt shows you there's an Eibush there. So that stems from different Indian. That not the fact that there's only him is not only because he's everywhere, because even the Metzias of the everywhere is Mechiach Hasadan Eibush there. So from the point of view of Metzias Gufa shows and is Mechiach and Holocaust. That's the Indian of Keli. And that's even a deeper Indian, the Masher Shekel Marlamai, the Masher Sher. There's a deeper Indian which is expressed in the fact that in order to Tzukum and Tzu'em, in order to connect to Elokus, is not only through that the Eibishter is made of a Makim. Even from the gather of Makim itself, even from the gather of Metzias itself, Chachma is Mechayiv Elokus. And Chachma is a Kedus Elokus. Now the Indian of Chachma is an Indian Eloki. That's a different Indian. Not that because the Ein Sof is also in Chachma. The Inyan HaChachma Guf is Inyan Eloki. That's Kelim. So that's where that means but there's a gather of Chachma. If Chachma is nothing, there's Ein Sof, then it's Shaycha Zagan as Inyan. There's only him. Mitzad Ein Sof, there's only him. So there's only him. There's no gather of Metzias. In order for this Nekudah to express itself, that also Mitzad Metzias, so there has to be a function of a Metzias. And the uftu is that even Mitzad the function of Metzias Guf is in Elokim. Chachma Guf is in Elokim. But for that, there has to be a chales of a tzir of Chachma, a definition of Chachma, a definition of Bina, which is not the Makir, which is not Ein Sof. A Metzias of Chachma v'Chesed. And even that's not him. Also from there, that's also in Elokim. So that's mitzad Yechel Shalela. That's mitzad Tzimtzum. Of course, Asmus is nice to Hakos. He's nice to this Indian too. But Lifnat Tzimtzum is mitzad Isgalus Elokus. There's no tefisas magam for anything outside of him himself. There's no gather for mitzias, no gather chacham chesed. There's David himself. Mitzad the kavagilu. In order for this Nekudah to express means even without him, his presence, from the point of view of other Rizalikus. For that, you have to have the siluk of the Eibish's presence. Not mitzad is the spashtus. That's mitzad tzimtzum. So kelim, which are a gather of mitzias, not the makir, that's all mitzad inin at tzimtzum. Before mitzad the spashtus is mitzad inin of gili itself. There's only him. There's only the makir. There's no nissinas makir for inin which is not the makir. There's no such a thing not the makir. So the kava gili, the Eibish's blik vol. The fact that in Elokus you have this inin where even not mitzad him, he's also mechuyev, not mitzad him, that's tzimtzum. That there's this silikar. So it's not to say that kelim are adam le'el in legabe lifnet. Lifnet tzimtzum is not mitzad tzimtzum. Mitzad inin of mitzad inin of is galus itself. There's only him, and there's no nesinas magam for anything outside of the Eibusher himself. You see what I'm saying? Not only a tnu of yesh can't come mitzad ersh lifnet tzimtzum. Even inin of yesh is not shayches mitzad atzilus too. I'm saying yesh is michutz lalikus, but we're saying mitzad not mitzad tzimtzum, mitzad in of shalei laher. Mitzad itself, so there's only him. The Eibusher is a spashas is blik vol. The etzem is Ein Sof, and his spashas is Ein Sof. There's no sinas magam for a regesh of not him. Kelim is an Indian of mitzias. To be the Indian of mitzias, that's mitzad tzimtzum. Mitzad gilui, so there's only it's not that he's not limited. There's him and there's space for something else. Mitzad the tnu of gilui of spashas alikus, the Eibusher is hulavadi hu ve'ein zolase.
So it's not a dam.
That's not a chayr. It doesn't say there's dam el legabi different. Dam el legabi adam kadmon.
So it's only dam legabi.
Means mitzad the Eibusher is blik vo and hu levadi hu. So this inyan that there is that also mitzad geder he is, that inyan is through the kav of the shalei lahar. Even though that's his Ein Sof, and the gilei and the helam are two opposites. It's not that the gilei is limited and therefore they could also be held. But the lakus is Ein Sof and there's only him. The Eibusher is nice to hakol, so he also has enough kelim. But that's expressed through tzimtzum, through leilahar, which did is already sinas for a gather from mitzias. And then you can bring out this point that even not mitzad him, there's even mitzad the gather of mitzias is also mechiach, is also mechiach halakus.
So Kelim's only a dam to not the to tzimtzum, not to have that.
Then it's not because the kelim are low. I'm saying because the lifnei tzimtzum haze the inyan hagili v'ha'er mitzad atzmi. Gili v'ha'er mitzad atzmi is the galus hamakir. The makir is Ein Sof, and mitzad Ein Sof there's Ein Sof l'spashtusa. And there's no space for anything which is not the makir. A tnu of chachma of a mitzias outside of the makir, that's mitzad tzimtzum. That the makir conceals itself. By Nevrayim, there's me and there's something else. The nefesh is mugder, the nefesh is this, and there's the mitzias of chachma v'chesed. Mitzad the lukus is only him. The fact that there's something called chachma, something called chesed, that's mitzad yechel shalei lahar. It's not that as a given there's a mitzias of chachma v'chesed, like there is in Ibrahim. As a mitzad his Ein Sof, there's only him.
So it's a dam lechelis. It's a dam to that yechel shalei lahar.
Shalei lahar, but that's a ak. It doesn't say a dam. It's not a gather of a dam. It's not a gather of a dam. Shalei lahar is the end of shalei lahar. There's the tnu of tzimtzum. Once you have tzimtzum, that there's silukar, there's no gili hamakir, you can have space for a tnu of chachma v'chesed. It's not the expression of the siluk. There's kama inyanim in the shalei lahar. I'm saying only as a result of shalei lahar you could have a gather of chachma v'chesed. Mashik mitzad mitzad hergish hamakir, so there's the makir, and there's only the makir. Ak is the Adam Kadmon. He's going to say in the Hemshech exactly the. So to explain, first of all, what's the pshat at Kedem or Adam and Elon Gabiak, and what's the uftu Adam and Elon Gabiak? So first he gives a whole long hakdam over here. The hini yedu the ak ubchinas machshava hakdum. Yeah, there's a long hakdam, but I get to Safka can explain what's first of all what's the why the alien is akir. And what's the uftu that says dam el? Why is that? What's the uftu? Yeah. Yeah, what's this common pratim? Let's see the pratim. What's the difference between the way the kelim are netzels with the kelim are nak? Yeah, we'll see the pratim. You need to do it. Akav chaz mashav agduma. Shalza amru tzeife umabit. That tzeif called dargin. Beskira achas. Shemachshava achas klolis ekalelis kol shalshos ilmas. Yes, and that's in ak. Everything's nichlak keechad. Beskira achas. Not like the way it is not in kedem datzilis. They have chochmah and chesed. Ak is on one hand ak is already the machshava klolis. It's kelol ishtalshalos. It's not er. Er is the makir, which is higher than ishtalshalos. It's not. Er is not a klal for mitzias. It's not sharp to say that er is the machshava klolis for elamis. Er is galas hamakir. The gilei v'lekus. The galas etzim. It's not the klal for him. Mashek and Ak, you're saying Adam Kadmon is the Adam the way it is in the higher state. Adam Kadmon. So steht in Makam Acher that you say what Sefer Mabed, that Sefer Kol Aderes, that Ak is the Pchinas Machsh, where the all klolis Eishtalshus in the Eifen of Machshavachas. So it's already the Inyan of Metzias, the Inyan of Adam, the Inyan of Metzias, Kol Eishtalshus, but the Kol Eishtalshus is in the Eifen of Nekuda Achas. Not the way it is later in Atzilis, where it's mispared that there's Chachma v'Chesed and there's Chalkus.
How's that different from Chachma?
That's what it means machshava achas klalis, but in Atzilis chachma v'chesed are two separate in Chachma is in Bifnei. There's chachma is on a kuda and bina is pratim, and chesed is in of midis. Meichen is muvdal. There's many differences between the gather of chachma, the gather of bina, and the gather of midis. In Ak it's one akuda. It's one machshava achas, which is kedel everything. But I'm saying, even you say machshava achas, and you say, it's not in a pshitis legamri. Is not a gather of, is not the nekud of tzir. Is galus hamakir. It's galus hamakir in pratim. Zolzayin. It's galus hamakir in tzir. It's not tzir. It's galus hamakir. It's galus ha'etzim. Ak is not as galus. We speak about Ak as cholas hakelim. Not as galus hamakir. The nekud of ishtalshlos. The nekud of elamis. It's seker is the lashon here. Beskira achas. Means elam is the way they are in a nekuda klaus. This reminds me in the Maimer the ways the beard in Mashiach Atzilus is already pratim. But the ufta was from Roland Zagan is that it's, so if you don't say Adam elam, the pshat would be that in Chachma v'Chesed the way they are in Atzilus. So what type of Chachma v'Chesed do you have? Chachma v'Chesed the way they're mechulik zemizeh. The way each one is in b'fnei atzmi. Chachma is a nekuda, Chesed is a midah, and Meichen is moved from Meichen. When they say that it's Adam elam l'gabiyak, how is Atzilus and Ak one nekuda? So even at Sildas based in Sparit, in Chacham Chesed, it's there's in Yoni is that nekuda. It's nekuda achas. It's Adam Alel. In the Chacham Chesed, it's not Stam Chacham Chesed. It's Nirgash and Atzilis how Chacham Chesed is a nekuda achas. Not like the way it is in Ephraim. Ephraim is Stam Chacham Chesed. You'll see the way it's must be.
Ak, you bring out 2 points. Side that Ak is taka seer, taka Yoni is seer, and side that Chacham Chesed is taka Nekuda Achas with Kol Shishtalshus. It's not like the Vim. I'm saying we're bringing a low the idea that Ak is not so high, and that seer, that the Kelim is also not so low. Is that what you're trying to say?
No, I'm saying, but the Gosh here is not that Ak is not so high. I'm saying Stam say that in the Maimer he doesn't say, we're not going to say that Atzilus Adam, that the Kelim are Adam elam gabi lifnei etzim. So he get 3 biurim. He started off that it's Adam Kadmon, and then he started Eidish Shleimer even the Gabi Lifnei. Why didn't he? I'm saying he doesn't say Eidish Shleimer the Gabi Lifnei. Not because Nebuch we can't find, because that's not Kalim. Kalim is not Eir. Kalim is where there's a schol of a Metzias which is not the Makar. Not the Makar is already mitzad in of Siluk, mitzad is almost. Mitzad, the Tnu of Gili itself, Gili is the Makar. The Makar is Ein Sof, and Gili is that this Makar is there's nothing besides him.
Which I think Hatzilus is taka one kuda.
Yeah, that's the Damal Ali. Yeah, we'll see. I'm saying what he's saying. What he's trying to say, we'll see what's on the mind. Hine yesh beis mineratzen. Aleph, he gives a long agdama. Let's see. He says like this. Two efanim mineratzen. The Aleph chenes ratzen apashet shebatzmos, shenichal batzmos imamish, shalei nikra adayin b'shem achshav v'ratzen klali, ki mesachad adayin batzmos imamish. Yeah, these things in the mashal. Let's see the ratzen the way it is, the way it's called ba'etzem. Ime yesh shekvar shu ratzen shekvar nes'ere batzmos imhochet the ratzen ze ba'atzmei. Come on, it means that ich las is davar chesed the plane. Ich adaber v'lach shevei. Ela haskel be'ezed v'arsechel v'chochma. Eli is li ratzen metanig b'dvarma. We can't get into machshava v'ratzon zeh u'behelem ba'atzmei adayin. Ve'eni b'chinas es eres es pal she'yeh shaykh l'sei v'peil. What there's he brings a dogma over here of someone that eich lasis dvar chesed l'pleni. So the etzem adam itself, which is mufshit to mashayches to any mitzias which is outside of him, not lahaskel b'chachma, not lasis dvar chesed, and not lisanik b'dvarma. The etzem kamei shehu mitzad atzmi. The etzem mitzias adam. Then there's a eres haratzin to do a certain thing. The nefesh is nimshach. There's the ratzon and nefesh to do a certain thing. The ratzon and nefesh is machalak in two separate dargahs, but even when we speak about the regular ratzon, we can see two separate. You have one eifin is a regular ratzon that we're aware of. A person wants something. That means that he's drawn to a specific thing, and he's not calm. He's not in a state of himself. He's now drawn and he's nimshach. He's not true of his eres that he wants something. That's one eifin. That's already not the way he is in his own natural state. He's drawn out to something. That's ratzon goli. That's a ratzon apel where the nefesh is nimshach to a certain thing. The ratzon we're saying is the ratzon is kol in the etzem. Means there's already a ratzon for something, but the ratzon is only it's not in a eifin that there's a where is it? Only bertzeni ba'atzmi davar zeh, but ein shaykh adayin klal apel. The chassid means a dogma that if someone says someone that's ma'ayin b'mhusi atzmi, means he's not holding yet by being in a state of needing things, of relating to things. It's all the way the nefesh is in its own element, its own world. Within its own element itself, ole bedaitai that to do chesed suits me. That's ratzon the way the meshicha to that Indian is a prat in him. You have the way the meshicha is a reason, a demand for the thing. You have that the meshicha is all a prat in the etzem. That he's such a person that would suit him to do chesed. But he's not in a mode of to actually demand the union of chesed. He has no relation to chesed. It's the way the nefesh is ba'atzmusay. The way the nefesh is in his own mahus. And outside of his own mahus, there's nothing matters outside of his own nefesh. But you have ratzon, the way ratzon is a prat in the etzem. That all bertzeni that to do dvar chachma would suit him, such a thing. That's the inyan meshicha, the shaykhs to the inyan, the way it is ba'atzmei, not a shaykhs to the mitzvahs.
If such a thing would exist, I would want it.
No, it's not. The chilik is not. The question is, let's say a regular lesson that a person has. Just see it in this stage, just brings up more clearly. A regular person wants something, so there's the person before he wanted it. Yeah, you were calm. You're in your own world. You weren't connected to this topic. You weren't rot to this inyan. You were mufshit from it. You were in your own self. Ba'atzmis hanefesh. When a person is nimshach to something, so there's two inyan in the word nischadesh. One it was nischadesh is that now the nefesh is in a tnu of meshicha to something. A change in the gabi the person's mode. Till now he was detached, removed from this, and now he's not removed. Now he's now from his point of view he's connected to the inyan. That's a chiduk legabi the nefesh. There's also a difference legabi the thing. Till now the thing wasn't demanded. There was no marker for it. There was no, and now that there's a ratzon for it, the thing has a marker. See, in the truth, even the marshal is two separate inyanim, but the way he's saying it in the minute is it's two separate dargahs. You could have one prat without the other prat. There's the inyan, the whole when you see, says the marshal, the difference between Seichel Amidis. Why is it that he say Meichen is ba'avdala and Seichen and Midis is already a Sheiches l'chutz? Why is it that a person could be misbein in the chveis in the verstand von Azach, and the chveis will think about something that's the chveis of davar mos, and he's not going to be disgusted by trying to be minateach the Indian. Why won't he be disgusted? Or he can be misbein in how scary that in the chveis something is, but he's not going to be affected by it. Why? Because seichel is not. It's the person's in a mode of, he's in his own world trying to figure out things, trying to analyze things. He's not in a state of being affected now by the outside world. There's two elements that say in the person. There's that aspect of the person that he's relates to the mitzias outside of him, and he's affected by it. That's the level, the realm of midas. That's the dargan and the nefesh, where he's in a state where he's affected by the mitzias outside of it. Then there's meichen is the nefesh is ba'avdala. The nefesh is ba'avdala, that his mahus, the way his mahus is ba'atzmei, not the way he's affected by things shemechutz alei. In the nefesh there's two dargis. There is the atzmius nefesh, his the identity of the person himself, his inyan, his mahus. So that's not affected by dvarim shem b'chutz. That's what his mahus is. What's his inyan? See, independently. Then there is that aspect of the nefesh where it's affected by things outside of it. It's needy of things outside of it. It's drawn towards things outside of it. So Ratzon Elam is that it's the Ratzon, the Meshicha, the way it is, a prat in him. The fact that he wants to do chesed is not a reason why midas chesed should happen. Or it's not that he's in a state now of leaving his own personal world and now he's in a state of drawn to do chesed. It's that the way the Ratzon is negeh to his mahus, that it suits him for his shleimus, or it suits him to be a bal chesed. So that aspect in Ratzon, that the whole idea of the Ratzon is that a prat in him, not a siba that the mitzias should become a different mode. You understand what I'm saying? Ratzon Gali is the way the person is not in his own natural element. He's not in his own state. He's in a state of need. He needs things michutz imenu. That's the chitzenius nefesh, where he's already shayches to the chutz. But you have the Ratzon, the way the nefesh is the pnimius mahusay. The Ratzon is a pnimius mahusay, so it's not a merlutzah. He's not in a state of running after the thing. He's in his own personal world. In his own personal world, so it would suit him such a inyan. Yeah, but in the mashal of Pile, you have sometimes a person, before you actually misair with a Ratzon to want something. I'm saying you have a person that's just a push. I don't know if that's not the way it's just to bring out the Hemshech of the Indian. You have a person lapel when he wants something, he's not calm. It means he's not in his own personal state now. He's now taken by something. He's running after it. He's not b'mnucha. His mahus now he's not munich ba'atzmei. He's in a state of looking for something else. That's not the primus nefesh. That's not, in that matter, it's not mere the primus nefesh. The primus nefesh is that there's his mahus. Not that he's in a state where he's not margish himself. He's now lost in that thing, drawn for a certain thing. But you have a way that my mahus would be nishlam through that thing. The Indian, the way it is, that would be a prat in him. There's the element of the nefesh where that aspect of the Ratzon is made. When you're running after it, so that aspect, that the fact that this Indian is an Indian which is in your mahus, that's not mere. You're not in your mahus now. You're running after the thing. You're not sleeping day and night. You're looking to be mamali your Ratzon. Then there is that you are conscious of yourself, and you're within yourself. You're in your own calm personal state, and there, which there's also the same is there, but there the Ratzon is that it'd be masim for him to have such a Indian. It's what an emet pesugigah would suit for the person. It would give me a certain shleimus if I would have such a inyan. But there you're not in a state of, but you're conscious of your mahus. You're not in a state of running and being drawn by something. The way you are in yourself, so there's how that inyan is master to you.
There's two things or three things?
I said two. I said the Ratzon Goli, Ratzon Elam. I just brought it to even in a regular Ratzon Goli, there's two aspects in the Ratzon. In the state of Ratzon Gali, this first aspect is not nirgash. There's one, if a person wants something. There's one aspect in the Ratzon that for you would be beneficial to have this thing. Means it would be beneficial for you. But when you're in a state of assertus to the thing, are you conscious of that point? or you're not conscious of yourself at that moment. You're running after something. Verstehst du Minion? See me a standard pashas. There's meichen and there's midas. When a person's be'espilus from a certain Indian, at that moment he's being calm and collective, or he's taken by a certain experience. Person's he's be'espilus. And be'espilus means you have some people that they're not be'espilus. They're every single thing that every time there's an experience, they're evaluating the thing the whole time. Some is dispel. He's you're inspired by something. So what does it mean you were inspired? You were taken by a certain experience. At that moment, you're conscious of your own self, the weight is removed, or you're drawn into an experience. You're inspired by something. Something impacted you. So when you're in a state that something impacted you, so now you're under the influence of an experience. So your mohos, the way it is ba'avdala, your own personal identity is not Meir at that moment. That's because there's an aspect in the nefesh which a metzias shem b'chutz could have an impact on it. Because there's the pchinas nefesh which is shaykh lachutz. That's the pchinas of midas. Mashiach mechanis ba'avdala means there's the person's mohos, the way it is ba'atzmei, not the way it's under the influence of something else. The way it is ba'atzmei. And there it's already a whole different union. So there it's also going to think about different things, but it's all he's not lost in the experience. It's what the Inyan adds and how it contributes to the Mahusa Adam Kameshu Hulatzma. Versteht the Inyan a bissel?
It's either or, they're both there.
Yeah, but you know, I'm saying Pashas Meichen Midas is two separate tunas. Midas is his pilus, and Meichen is Meichen. I'm saying this. Speak about a Pashas. I'm just saying that there's two Pchinas HaNefesh. You say someone is scared of something, so at that moment he's not himself. Now the scary that thing is overtaking him. Then if a person is going to think about that it would be good for him to be afraid of a certain thing, let's say. So at that moment, he's in a state of being affected by something, or he's in his own mohos. Let's say someone would think that it would be nice to get bespilus Hachodesh Adar, simcha Hachodesh Adar. When you're nispal in simcha, so something is overtaking you. Then nothing's overtaking you. You're in your own mohos. You're in your own element. You're b'mhusei atzmi, and du trachst bei sich that it would suit you, that something that you should be that something should affect you. But you're not in a state of being affected. Being affected is that you're in a state of something else capturing, captivating, making an impact. There's a person's b'mhusei atzmi, and dorten trachter that would be nice. Kach would be nice. Would be nice. So there you have in Meichen and Midas. You have it in Ratzon also. There's difference in Ratzon. I'm not going into the Prat Advar, but in Ratzon, you also have the same type of two tenuos in Ratzon. You have Ratzon where the person is in a state of being nimshach to something else. He's in a state that Inyan, he's there. The Inyan doesn't by Ratzon. It's not that the zulas impacts the person. It's a different tenuah. But Akapanim, you also have by Ratzon the Inyan that the never is in the tenuah of Meshicha. So he's in the tenuah of Meshicha. He's not in his tenuah ha'atzmis. He's not the way he is b'mhusei ha'atzmi. He's in the tenuah of Meshicha. That's Ratzon Gadol. Yadway, the Nevesh is not in a Tnuah of Meshicha. The Nevesh is Ba'atzmusei. The Atzmis and Nevesh is not in a Tnuah of being Nimshach with Barma. The Nevesh Ba'atzmiusei. And there, and then he's being misbeinen, or different Lashenis and Chassidus, that Azazach would suit me. But he's not in a state of wanting it. He's not in a state of Meshicha, the way it is in himself. Like someone thinking is cold and being collective, cold, collective, I don't know what the word is. But a person is thinking that it would be nice for him to be drawn in a simcha. He's not in a state yet of being taken by something else. Right now he's in control of himself. He can trachten that it would be nice for him to have an impact on him. So it wasn't there in you. Huh? I'm just saying a dogma that you have the nefesh is in one type of mode. And al derech ze you have in Ratzon the two tenuas also. You have Ratzon Agoli where the nefesh is in the tenuah of Meshicha, and you have the nefesh is ba'atzmi, not in the tenuah of Meshicha. And dorten trachter zach would suit me. So which Inyan is mudgish when a person in Ratzon and Elam? What's mudgish? The need of the thing, or the fact what it would contribute to the person? That's what's mudgish there. The same thing you say to get the difference between Meichen and Midas. When a person is actually happy at that moment, he's not margish how it's good for his mahos. His mahos is not meir at that moment. He's taken by an experience. His mahus itself is not. The next day, you could think about what it contributed to me, how the mahus was affected by this, or how he gained from it. But b'shas, the moment of the spilus, he's taken by the simcha. He's taken by the espilus. His mahus kameishu hu mufshit from the inyan, the way he is a mahus b'fnei atzmi. That nekuda is not. He's not conscious of it at the moment of his espilus. Al derech ze haven't the two tnuas.
What makes him together Rotzen?
Okay, he's not. That's in his law.
It sounds like it's not really rotzen. It's just like a.
It's not a regular ratzin tackle. Not the. Why is it not? Why is it not? It's not ratzin. If in Hemshech, it's a different type of ratzin tackle. It's ratzin nelan.
No will.
Look, there's no will yet.
It was appropriate for him to have this will.
Why is that bechal together?
I know you mean.
It's seichel. No, isn't that a seichel to kafir?
Not seichel. Not seichel. I'm just bringing a dugmas. Let me just lashon the way he says it. That's the lashon here. It means the other place in the Chassidus a little bit more by Riches, but you never learned the sin. I'm saying this is
Saying, yeah, I didn't learn this year.
The Chazar Adar I. Hine yesh beis min ratzin. It's Rosh Hashanah dik ma'amarim. Yesh beis min ratzin. Ha'alef b'chinas ratzin ha'poshut sheba'atzmos. Means when you speak of the regular ratzin, the ratzin ha'beis is the ratzin, the nefesh is natnu of meshicha. So it's not the ratzin the way it is in atzmius hanefesh. It's the way the nefesh is natnu of meshicha, and he's already mitzuyer. He wants that thing. He's in a state of will. But in a state of will, he's in his own, is he in his own pshitistic state? Is he then b'mhosei atzmi when he's in a state of will towards something? So that's this Rashi Pasha. Shenichla b'atzmusei mamish. The ratzin is in his etzem. Shlenikra adayim b'shem achshav v'ratzin kloli. The stack not called b'shem achshav v'ratzin kloli. Ki misachad adayim b'atzmusei mamish. Stack ein zach mit em alein. Means what's the ratzin there that his muhus would suit to Azayinyan. He's not in a state of doing chesed. He's not in a state of it would suit him to be mischased. So when he's in a mode, not in a mode of giving, he's in his atzmisdik mode. So there is all a bit daitir, all a bit tzayne, that it would suit the nefesh to be a bal chesed.
This is aliyah.
What do you mean aliyah?
It was an aliyah.
Yeah, of course it was an aliyah. It says. Ima yesh gahu ratzin shkanis erer bei batzmuse behuchlat ratzin ze batzmei kemay. It means shemachat given the minion. Ich lasse davar ze chassid chassid but not regular series. It's erer bei batzmuse. Let's see. Ich lasse davar chassid leplene ich davar lachshe bei el haskel bez davar sechel bechach melis le ratzin metanek gedvar ma. Und kol mechinas machshav ratzin zeu behelem batzmei adain. Ve'enim mechinas es eres vespilus she yeshayach lasi bepel klau. Like masha ole bertzeni batzmei davar ze. It's not shaykh lapel. It's a ratzin, but it's not a ratzin shaykh lapel. Ratzin shaykh lapel means it doesn't demand action, because the whole thing in ratzin there, it's all only benegeh to the nefesh. It's only benegeh to atzmai. That it's correct for atzmai to want such a thing. So the only aspect of ratzin that there is there legabe the etzim, not the way ratzin affects the mitzias hadavar. The pale of the Indian. Even though, so this is the which is interesting to use in Pashto Verta, just one verse. When we say let's use the document when they get melech. So let's say a person wants something. So we say he wants to be a melech. There's one Indian is that it's masim for hus mahus to be that. So there's what this Indian is negate to him. The relevance to him. The relevance to him is, imagine a person, he doesn't want, let's say, but let's say a person wants to be in a state of simcha. But not, he wants to be in a state of espilus. But only the Indian, the way it's negate to his mahus. But anything which is not relevant to his mahos doesn't exist there. So the aspect of simcha that you're drawn by something else captivated you, that you don't want. Only the simcha, the way it's going to contribute something to the mahos ha'olam. Not the side effects, which is mitzad the fact that simcha means that you're under the effect of something else. What I'm saying is, there's a ratzin. So usually by ratzin is there's a mitzias, and then there's the nefesh, and the nefesh is is biseiris and wants something. So there's different chesronos. At that, b'shas you're in a tnua of ratzon, you're not in your own etzem. You're drawn to something, and there's the mitzias outside of you that you want that thing. There's no. The ratzon elam is the kavanah of the nefesh in this ratzon. What's the premise of the ratzon goli? That he's going to get something mitzad the sini. The only aspect that's in ratzon elam is the kavanah sanefesh in the inyan. There's no tnua of any tnua outside of the kavanah hanefesh in the inyan. In order for the inyan to be nizgalim b'bal b'poil, it has to be a tnua of eirus and a ratzon to a certain mitzias. Ratzon elam is where it's the nekuda where it's meir, the kavanah of the nefesh, but his interest, so to speak, in the inyan. What's that erder from? Ba'negei latzmusay in the ratzon. Just use, we'll see later the problem. Just to use the you see when they get to Kalim. Kalim is there's a gather from Mitzias, let's say. So you have, in order for the be Mitzias, there has to be there's the Tnuas at Tzimtzum Melukus, and we're Mason Makam the Mitzias, which is not, which is Chach Mechesed. You have to have the inner of his Almus Hamakam. But you have Ratzin is that even though there's a Ratzin to Mitzias, and Ratzin, in order for there to be Chach Mechesed, there has to be a Tzimtzum. And there has to be a Nesinas Banka for Chacham Chesed. But you have, what's the point of Chacham Chesed? In order for it to express a certain mile in Alakus, that the Eibishter is not mugbal, that the Alakus is only Meir, it's that this Pashtus, Alakus, the Mitzias is also him. Lepoil, the way the Indian is Nizgale, it's Nergash that there's a Nesinas Banka for Mitzias. It's that the previous Se'im, it's that the previous Haratzin is not Meir that we're being Nesin Makam to Indian of Chacham Chesed. It's all to bring out the mile of Alakus, his Indian. Even though b'chitzenis it's a tnua of giving a tefisa smakim to chacham v'chesed, the pnimius it's all the bringing out the shlemus of alakus, no tnua outside of that. So in ratzon usually means eirus to something. Your rights are being nimshach to something. What's the ratzon ne'elam? The where it's mere the pnimius of the ratzon, that the whole inyan ratzon is the kavanah that the nefesh has within the inyan. And the chitzenis of it, that you have to be in a mode of drawn to something, that nekuda is not is where it's mere the pnimius what the kavanah is. You heard the meaning of this one? Yeah, even close. It's charein trachten on this. Huh? Yeah, we'll see later. I'm just saying the. What does fully understand? What is? I'm saying, what's the? I don't know what you mean fully understand. So yeah, I'm saying it's not in Yanim. It's not man. I'm saying certain things. It could be. I'm not saying it could be tzachsan me. I'm not saying that it's. What I'm saying is there are certain things that you could mamish describe. Visse svares. You could mamish certain things you could mamish explain it as basic common sense. The other thing is this is not basic common sense. It's in Yanim Dakim Yoser. So exactly, I'm saying exactly to picture the Indian. That's a Charein Trachten. Then I'm just trying to give some Eisius a bit. Facts. I'm not saying facts. No. I'm not speaking about facts. I'm saying okay. Facts. I'm saying just to tap into the subject a little bit. Exactly, to be mitzayir, there's no tzir prati. You put your finger, this is primus hanefesh. And this is, you get the general kav of what Mivoldar is bringing. Exactly how to define it to yourself, that stuff you have the inner trachten by I'm saying. Could be there's good definitions, I'm not saying, but I'm not looking to lock the Indian definitions, that's what I'm trying to say. I'm saying if I thought that there was, no, I'm saying that this is the definition and there's no room to say. I'm saying these are Aces Asma the Maimer. Then there's to tap into the topics a little bit. So I'm using these words. You use different words. It's not like yeah. You get what I'm saying? So that's one thing. Another thing you're saying you fully understand is you have to think about it a few times, but that's not gonna. I'm saying if the Elam wants to kratz, I have no problem. If the Mevil sits, I have no problem to sit in it. I'm not looking to. Gut. Gut, let me say what the state. Someone said that you asked someone if he wants to. Do you want to do you want to be a baki b'shas? Or lahav do you want to be a aggressive vir? So you say, of course he wants. What are you doing about it? So the fact that he wants a little water, he wants coke. So I want, and he's taking. You go for it. You want it, and you go do it. You really want it, kach v'kach. So you're going to go do it. If you really want, you're not going to be b'mnucha b'atzmi. You're b'seiris. You're going to go do it. So someone's going to ask you, would you like to be? You say, I would like to. So that's not. Is that a ratzon or it's not a ratzon? You want it. So if you want it, so how you come? You go to sleep calmly, and you wake up, and you live your life. Half the time you don't even think about it. L'pal, you say, I don't want it, or yeah, I do want it. So what? That's. It's not a ratzon in the state of that you're in a state of being drawn to that project. But theoretically, I would want such a thing. That means that I would be happy with such a union. But it's that's just a dogma for the expression of Metzias for a ratzon, but it's not a ratzon that's it's not as eres l'poil. But the lumdus of the ratzon, I don't know if you have it there. It means in a certain way you have the lumdus too. You're not ready. You will stand the grace gvir because you don't want to. Because you want to have an easy and good life, so it's not going to be a ratzon that's going to urge you to do stuff. That's not where it's at. But it's mere only the good of the Indian, not the actuality of the Indian. It means the Indian, the way it's connected to your mahus, that's mere. But the actuality of it, that causes some shveis and pain over there, and the different types of things. That aspect you're not interested. You're not. That's not what you're focused on. The idea that you would feel good to be in. To be on top of do whatever you want. Azam is Sarzah. Oder to Zana Baki B'Shas. The Ratzon Baki B'Shas, it's good to have Ratzon Elam to Baki B'Shas. It says that through the Ratzon Elam, you later have a Ratzon Goli. Im Hachodesh ken Ratzon Elam, it is very ken Ratzon Goli. Gut, lass uns sehen, was da steht. He says, he says like this. And this Ratzon, this is another point that he starts saying over here. So, what's the negat linyanenu? B'chins v'achshav Ratzon zeh. Let's say it's a Ratzon, ole berdaitei v'ole bertzeinei, that tana gewisser chesed, a gewisser mention. But even though ole bertzeinei, to do a chesed, it's all the way it is ba'atzmei. But a yachas to the chesed doesn't exist. So a relation to the mitzias outside of me, there's nothing. Within the person, within him, within his own element, his nischadish, that to do that thing would be good. But the actuality means, in order for the ratzon to be in an actual state, he has to be in a state of leaving himself, of being drawn to something. He's not in a state of being drawn to something. He's the way he is ba'atzmo. So there's the ratzon, the way it is ba'atzmo, not the way it's in a state of being nis'erer and being nimshach to a thing. Then he says weiter, and this ratzon, this is the point that's negir. He says even though you have this ratzon elam, but any of the is fal sheyishayach l'seiv pe'el klal, actually all the bertzeni ba'atzmi, v'nishar be'olami ba'atzmi, ve'ein shayach adan klal pe'el. And he says weiter that even when there's the ratzon agoli, it's not the pshat that the ratzon elam is nimshach and it comes legilui. Ratzon goli is another inyan. It comes besibas the ratzon elam, but it's not. The Ratzon Gali doesn't come because of the revelation of the Ratzon Elam. The Ratzon Elam is always what's munach ba'atzmei. In the Dargash and Evish, the way he's moved from a Peel Mamish. The way he's moved from being in a state of actual running after something. The state of actual running after something, which that's the Gili state, that's a different mode, which is not an expression of the original mode. It's a totally different mode of the Nefesh. It's Besibas Davar Zeh, but this way he starts teaching. Dafka through the fact there's a ratzon hamuchlet. There's a ratzon the way it's muchlet the pnimius hanefesh, that a certain Indian suits him. Only because of that he's mis'eir ratzon gali b'davar hazeh, that in his b'mitziyusei agluya means in the aspect of the person where he's in a state of being drawn to things. He's going to want this, but it's only because it's ratzon hamuchlet. Luli shayir ratzon hamuchlet lo ratzon gali. Says Mikol Mekem, even though the sibba why there's the Ratzon Gali is because of the Ratzon Muchlat, Mikolam Haratzon HaMuchlat Nishar Kolul Behelam Bas Moshe. The Ratzon HaMuchlat Gufa is not Nizgali. He's Mefaret. Kizeshem is Erir Bar Ratzon HaGali ain't Zesher Ratzon HaMuchlat Ba Mehelam Lagidu. Ki Kolam Shacham, you see what he says here? And here he goes into a whole raid over here that there's two efanim how a zach is nimshach and is hava from a makir. Let's say you have seichel. Seichel is also a dogma of the sin. You have seichel. The nefesh is moved from being in a state of being affected by things. He's batsman. Tracht kalter hit wegen a zach. He's calm, cold, and collected. He's thinking about it. If someone's going to be in a state of midas while he's trying to understand, that's not the tnu of meichem. Then he's under the influence of something. Someone's meshuchet. So he's not thinking objectively in it. Seichel is that you're not affected by it. You're honestly and objectively trying to figure out the havana of a certain union. So you're not under the influence of the union. But as a mensch versteht, when you're calm and collected and you understand that something is good, the teva advarim is that your heart's going to be affected by it. But how does that happen? Because in order for that to happen, the seichel has to be miskarev to the midas. Your understanding that it's good has to be miskarev to your leave. We'll see later. It's not the shot that the Ratzon HaNelam is nimshach and he comes to a state where it pushes the Ratzon HaGali to happen. It's in two separate elements, and the Ratzon HaNelam bleibt allemal bats musa. Only because it's Ratzon HaNelam, there's a siba as the Ratzon HaGali is alveren. But it's not an oifen that the Ratzon HaNelam is me'orer, or he himself comes to a state where he pushes the Ratzon HaGali. In Seichel, you say there's stam understanding that the inyan is a good thing, stam is a theoretical thing, and then there is that Seichel comes to that kare that it's good for me, or it's good not on a theoretical level, it's good on a personal level. It's good, and that's a seichel which is meilid midas. I mean, seichel is mekarev the musik to the nefesh adam, to the leif. Mashike the Ratzon HaNelam is not that the tnuas HaMashiach, the way it is ba'atzmius HaNefesh, is nimshach and pushes. The primus is the primus ha'adam. It's the primus HaNefesh. He's meruchik legamri from the poil. Being in a state of need is heipach the Mahus HaNefesh. Being in a state of being rutz after something is heipach the primus Mahus HaNefesh. Because there's primus Mahus HaNefesh which there's huchlat to do chesed, b'meile b'chitzenis HaNefesh is a Mashiach to do chesed. But the primus is shalei be'erch this tnu chitzenis. So the primus is a guidance for the chitzenis b'derech siba, not b'derech ilah. So he goes into an erichis there two efanim how there's two efanim where you have one efan where there's a makir and a dover hanis have vubam in a makir, and one efan is that the makir is miskarev to the nifal. The makir is miskarev to the dover habami menu in order to activate, in order to bring it out, in order to be megalit. That's called he calls it here ilav. You have another efan that the makir is not miskarev to the ol in order to have it. The makir stays in his own element, and he's a siba. So to speak in Bachutz, he stays in his own element, and he's a sibba that the tachten is almost have for them. That's called Ishmael. So he says, Ratzon HaNelam, it's not the way that mitzad Ratzon HaNelam. A person has a primius nafshe, huchlat etzlei, chveis liyes melech, or other inyanim that he brings here. The fact that as a result of that Ratzon HaNelam, there's going to be a Ratzon Gali, he's going to actually run after run after doing chesed, that's not because the Ratzon HaNelam is nimshach and miskarev to the Ratzon Gali. Because there's no erech between the Ratzon HaNelam and the Ratzon Gali. It's two different phases of the nefesh. Just the nefesh, the way it is made, the muhusei ha'atzmi, primus nefesh, and the nefesh, the way it's in a mode of being affected by something. And there's no kiruv, there's no erech between the mode of Ratzon Gali. Ratzon Gali is you're beside yourself now. You're running after a certain thing. Your primus is b'chal not meir in the Ratzon Gali. So the Ratzon Gali comes from the Ratzon HaMuchad al derech Heshmayim. It's a sibba. Since the primus hanefesh wants something, so in order for that kavanah to be in a smale, there's going to be a Ratzon Gali. But it's not that the primus hanefesh gufa is so to speak deiche or pushes the Ratzon Gali to be in his gali. He stays in his element, and the makar happens in the tetzah shalei be'erechtem. Mashiach, there's another eifin of a makar where the makar, the way the seichel mashal have a midas, is that the seichel is miskarif, that the havana of the seichel should be in a eifin that's nirgash belief. Means that it's not just a theoretical understanding, but it's the fact that this thing is good is real and it's personal and it matters to me. That's the seichel is mekarev the musik in a eifin that it should be gained in mispilus. So seichel is miskarif to the midas. That's a makar with derech iba. There's kama pratim. That's where he starts.
So these levels of Martin are like beinarech to each other.
In a certain aspect, yeah. He says, just look at these little shayns. It's not the Ratzon Gali is not this galus of the Ratzon Ela. It's not its revelation. What's there? Because Kol Hemshech Elam Agili Yedua Shezeo Masha Helem Es Eir El Havi Yisagili. And then he brings up Dugma, and he's going to say the Ratzon Amuchat is different. Just look after the brackets. So the Dugma says Yuvim Chinas Ratzon Amuchat Hanal Ime Yesh Yad Nimtzav Chinas Ratzon Gali Ein Ze Shal Ratzon Amuchat Mis Eir Mispol Ba'atzme B'Shay Dezeh Yali Yavi Ratzon Gali. Al Ratzon Gali K'may Havay Hachodesh Mis Eir Ata B'Davar Michodesh. You see the after the bracket, but he goes into whole erichas. He goes into whole erichas.
Yeshua and Pella.
Huh? Not a pelle. That's how there's pratim. To see the pelle. He's saying that the tnu of Ratzon Gali doesn't express at all the tnu of Ratzon Ela. Two separate tunes. That one's a sibah for the other one. It's not a pelle. In order for the kavana primis. Zol sich durchführen, you have to have the Tnu of Ratzon Gali. But not in the Tnu of Ratzon Gali is nirgash the Ratzon Ela. He's a Siba. Means, in order for the Ratzon Muchlet to actualize itself, you have to have a Ratzon Gali. But the Ratzon Gali is not a continuation to the Ratzon Ela.
Is there a difference in the way it comes out? Whether it's a Siba or whether it's...
Of course. That's what we're going to see. We're going to have to see in the... We'll go through the... So when are we going to... So we'll do it Sunday night. I don't want to... There's a common yanim in this man. Yeah, but it's in yanim. It's in yanim which should negate some. So good to learn and be proud. Yeah, I always think in the beginning that I'm not going to dash too much, but the end of the I thought we'll learn more chaymer, but the pile as it is should be kavana. Beseder. Mit Mamschel sein, so die Nacht.